Woemaker, a Last Fable short story. Narrated by Aaron Christie. Felrum awoke to a fading pain in the back of his neck. He opened one eye, his vision clearing to reveal that he was laying in front of a bed on a cold, rough carpet. His travel bag sat at the bed's foot, its contents seemingly unbothered by a nosy host. He remained motionless as he tried to remember what had happened to him.
I know I entered the village, made it halfway through, then nothing,
he thought. Archon Village was supposed to be abandoned, its prey residents fleeing weeks earlier to avoid the wrath of the League of Jaws. To some, the League was the apex of carnivore society, a power other nations rarely challenged in the past centuries. While they hadn't reached deep into the Iridian plains, news of their march by fleeing refugees was more than enough motivation. He could hear no one else in the room, so Felrum tested himself. Slowly, he moved every inch of his body to make sure that everything was intact. Thankfully, they were, and he could feel no tears in his suit. The only thing uncovered was his head. Both hood and mask were lowered to reveal his snowy face. Whoever knocked him out wanted him for something, and if he played his cards right like a friendly rogue had taught him, he would make it out alive. The door creaked open, and Felrum immediately closed his eyes, playing the part of the helpless captive. Footsteps grew louder and louder, until he felt something long and soft brush against his arm before a soft thump of someone sitting on the bed in front of him filled his ears. There was a long pause.
"I know you're awake, little rabbit. Raise your head so we may speak,"
came a feminine voice. It was regal, but carried an authority he had only seen on city guards or soldiers. Felrum did as he was told, choosing to remain seated on the carpet and appear non-threatening. To the casual observer, the pose meant nothing, but the position would allow him to roll to his feet if she tried anything. It was especially useful for bunnies like himself. A closer inspection of his surroundings revealed that he was in someone's house. The living room and kitchen decorated one side, while the bath and bedding sectioned on the opposite end. The front door was closed, but the windows on either side revealed an orange sunset. Sitting on the bed was a she-leopard, wearing clothes that left little to the imagination under her winter cloak, decorated by the roaring maw of the general's pin. Two sabers sat next to her, and her long tail curved behind her.
"You speak with Lieren Astrasa. So, where did you come from, little rabbit?"
she asked musingly. Felrum tensed. Of all the people in the world, the last person he'd ever want to meet was someone with her reputation. These were rumors all about the Saber General of the League. One such rumor was how she supposedly burned an entire village because the food wasn't up to her standards. He always pictured her as a hulking mass of muscle, not someone who can hold a conversation at a tea party.
Woemaker, my name is Felrum. I'm an adventurer, here on business from a local guild,
he said. Lieren eyed him up and down, which he found a little uncomfortable as he looked away. No one had ever gazed at him with such interest. It felt as if Lieren was staring through him, the eyes of a predator locking onto its prey.
"It strikes me as odd that a bunny would venture so far from his hole. What exactly are you? A spy sent to report on the League's movements?" "If that's the case,"
she said, her voice seemingly amused.
No, I'm looking for someone. A loved one. They went missing a few days ago, and I've been sent to find them,"
Felrum said, his heart racing.
"There's a contract in my bag. I can prove it if you don't believe me."
If it ever came to blows against the Saber General, his best chance of survival would be to run. Melee engagements were not ideal for someone of his occupation or sense of confidence. For now, cooperation and a mostly calm attitude would get him through this.
"Very well,"
Lieren said. The she-leopard's long tail wrapped around the strappings of Felrum's bag, before tossing it in front of him with a soft thud. He could see the curiosity in her face, her teasing smile daring him to try something that he'll regret. He wouldn't play that card. Not yet. After rummaging for what he was looking for, Felrum pulled out a scroll. It was sealed with the official sigil of the Adventurers Guild, a single leaf imprinted on green wax. At the bottom of the scroll was a profile sketch of an elder doe. A small golden necklace hung from her neck. The doe was the wife of Archon's village chief, who stayed behind to ensure the safe evacuation of her citizens. Unfortunately, her whereabouts since then were unknown. The price of her safe return was a generous sum of 1,500 gold, which was more than enough to convince aspiring prospects, Felrum being one of them. Felrum rolled the letter and tossed it to the Saber General, who read its contents.
"This is certainly a lot for one measly herbivore,"
Lieren said. A hint of surprise filled her voice.
I was hoping to find her here. Maybe I would have discovered some evidence. Have you seen her?
No sooner had Felrum finished speaking that Lieren had started laughing.
"Indeed I have. You'll be happy to know she's in a better place,"
Lieren said, her expression revealing her sharp teeth, which Felrum found unnerving.
Oh, so she's safe. That's good to hear.
Felrum said, though something started nagging at the back of his mind.
Could you take me to her?
Lieren seemed to think for a moment, her gaze off in the distance as she tapped the side of her face with one finger. The sensation that Felrum felt grew. It was a feeling that only came up when danger was close. He reached slowly inside of his bag. Luckily, it was angled in a way that the she-leopard was unable to see what his hands were reaching for.
"I could, but I highly doubt you'd like the outcome,"
Lieren said.
"Tell me, my little snowball, have you ever tasted meat between your teeth?"
Only once,
Felrum said, a lump tightening in his throat as he looked away, embarrassed by the memory. He'd only tasted meat once in his youth from a slain animal during a bad harvest season. It was the worst illness Felrum had ever felt in his life, and he vowed to never go through that again. When his eyes fell on the Woemaker again, she was picking her teeth with one claw.
"Well, what do you think dough tastes like?"
Lieren asked hungrily, before licking her chops. Upon closer inspection, Felrum could see a gold necklace dangling in Lieren's hand. Etched in its center was a ruby. It resembled the same necklace that the doe wore in the sketch.
You...
Felrum said after a long pause, realization and fear hitting him all at once. He'd known that carnivores preferred meat. Some mammals even cut off pieces of themselves to sell for money. But he'd never heard of a carnivore actually hunting a living person.
"Don't look so afraid. I won't hurt you unless you give me a reason. Though I am a little bored, and the doe barely put up a fight. Perhaps you could entertain me."
I am not your pet.
A new sense of determination came over Felrum. He'd hoped to avoid a confrontation, but the way the leopard spoke suggested she wasn't going to give him that option.
"Ah, now there's an idea."
Lieren grinned, her eyes becoming slits. In a flash, the Woemaker lunged towards him, her gauntleted hand eager to grab his face. Felrum rolled back just in time to avoid the swipe and came to his feet, a dagger in one hand and a powdery spice in another.
"Slippery little thing, aren't you?"
Lieren said, licking a small amount of blood that coated one of her fingers. Surprised, Felrum wiped the side of his face with the back of his hand, a smudge of blood revealing itself when he pulled it away. His gaze returned to the Woemaker, and he would try one last time to appeal to her sense of reason.
Look, I don't want to fight you. It's clear you're superior to me in every way. I just want the necklace. If you let me have it, you'll never see me again.
He pleaded. The Woemaker laughed, louder than before.
"Flattery will get you nowhere. Besides, I rarely entertain a bargain,"
she said before lunging again. She closed the distance, but this time Felrum was ready. Instead of going in for another grab, the Woemaker slashed at him repeatedly. Being forced on the back foot, Felrum dodged and weaved to avoid being gutted. Parrying with a dagger was possible, but far from practical. The amount of strength needed to pull it off far exceeded Felrum's capabilities, especially when his opponent was not only bigger, but faster, stronger, and more ruthless. Thankfully, his small size and agility made him a hard target to hit, but sooner or later, she'd get lucky.
If I could just slash at her legs, maybe strike an artery,
he thought. That would require averting his gaze below her belt line, and with how fast she was coming, The slightest misstep could spell disaster. He would have to attack, and hope to hit something important. His opportunity came when she attempted another punch. This time Felrum dodged into her angle of attack, slashing just above her unarmored elbow. The Woemaker grunted, but the victory was short-lived as she backhanded him. The blow knocked Felrum off his feet and onto the floor, his head pounding in pain. A second later, another blow connected to his side, sending him flying into the wall. He dropped his dagger, hearing it clink against the floor.
Not bad. But your tactics could use a little more forethought.
There was no sign of exhaustion in her voice. Felrum got to his feet, his legs shaking, his gut aching, his eyes watering. He was helpless as the Woemaker grabbed him by the neck, lifting him off his feet with ease.
Oh, you bunnies are too precious,
she said, a satisfied grin on her face as Felrum struggled for breath.
Mercy! Please! I'll do anything!
Felrum pleaded, his voice weakened by the Woemaker's iron grip.
Anything?
She asked, further emphasizing the word with a curious glance. Felrum could only nod, or what he tried to pass as one.
Well, I suppose I could claim you for myself. One can never have too much amusement. Although I wonder how long you'd last in a leopard's bed. I hear rabbits are gifted in this regard.
Her tongue slid along the side of his face, licking his bloodied cut with pleasure before pulling away. Felrum struggled to speak, not from the grip but from the suggestion that he would be her consort. No one would want to be a plaything to someone as barbaric and ruthless as the Woemaker. He had to make his move. Thankfully, she didn't seem to notice the spice he had been saving in his other hand. The spice in question was a delicacy in the region, but also one of the hottest, perfect for what he was about to do. Felrum held his breath and closed his eyes.
What? Is my grip too tight for you to get hard?
He threw the spice right in her face, causing the Woemaker to drop him to the floor. She emitted a powerful hiss, though the effect didn't seem to go as he'd planned, evidenced by the fact that she was quickly recovering. Felrum crawled away as fast as he could, gasping for air as he'd managed to grab his bag. He was just about to leave when he'd noticed the golden necklace a few feet away from the Woemaker, who still writhed in pain. No doubt it came off of her person during their little scuffle.
My client will have closure at the very least,
Felrum thought. He ran towards it, managing to swipe the necklace with ease, but the Woemaker grabbed his wrist.
What's the hurry?
Lieren said. Her watery eyes were clenched shut, but somehow she was still able to locate his exact position and act accordingly. Felrum struggled to break free as pain shot through his arm, the Woemaker holding him in a vice. With quick thinking, he did the only thing he could. He bit her arm as hard as his jaw would allow. A grunt escaped her lips, and she released her hold. Felrum bolted to the front door, unlocked it, and ran out of the house as fast as he could into the late evening air and toward a random direction. A moment later, something metallic whizzed past him by inches. With a thunk, he nearly lost his balance and stopped in place. Stood before him a wagon full of wooden crates, and lodged in its side was a curved saber. Turning around, he spotted the Woemaker standing in the doorway of the house, her gauntleted claws embedded into the wooden frame. She was furious, or at the very least he thought she would be. The leopardess's eyes were tightly shut with a calm expression, as though she were casually peering at him through her closed eyelids. Felrum wouldn't give her any more of his attention. He picked up speed and ran as fast as his legs could carry him.
Flee, little rabbit, for nothing in this world can outrun me!
She shouted as Felrum's footsteps faded into the blighted lands of the Woemaker. You've been listening to Woemaker, a Last Fable short story, and narrated by Aaron Christie. Thank you for listening.